Hello and welcome to Inside the Change Room. Today we're joined by a man who started his career at West Bromwich Albion, went on to Bournemouth, went on to Carlisle, to Gillingham, to Lincoln, to Kidderminster and Grimsby. Promotions and unfortunately relegations during the career. He's taken his coaching role into management at Hereford at the time of COVID being stopped. Today we're joined by Josh Gowling. Josh, thank you for coming on.
No problem. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Just been on a little bit of exercise. Didn't go very well, but apart from that, I'm good.
As ever, as you can see, we're joined by my co-host Jacob. Jacob, how are you?
I'm good, cheers, mate. How are you?
Yeah, all good. All good. Trying to keep sane. I know it's hard, isn't it? So, Josh, we'll go right back to the start then. What made you get into football? Tell us how the wonderful career started.
It was probably with a negative, to be fair. I remember, like, my brother is a lot older. He's about 3-4 years older than me, and he'd always played. He was probably better than me there. Just wasn't dedicated. But I remember when I was in primary school, I went to try out for the school team. I just started playing. I went to try out for the school team, and I didn't get in. And I remember going. And I remember going to my mum, cuddling up to my mum and crying my eyes out. I was about 5. And then from then I was determined to play football. So then practice. And then next year I got in. And we had a school teacher called Mr. M. He was just amazing. And my primary school team, which is in Coventry, we were the best team in the West Midlands. We had an unbelievable season. We never lost a game and we won everything. So, and that just kind of gave me that bug and that buzz for football. And then, obviously we went on from there.
Yeah, obviously, it was West Brom that you kind of started your first taster of football. How did that move come about? Was there other interest from clubs? Was it or was it a case that you were just spotted by West Brom at the time?
So that PE teacher put me forward to our county team, which was the West Midlands. Yeah. So when I left primary school, I got West Midlands trials. So I obviously got into the West Midlands team, but at those trials, West Brom was scouting.
Yeah.
And a guy called Nick Mummery said to me, come down and have a trial. So I actually remember my first trial game was at Aston University, and I gave a penalty away in my trial game. So I thought, no way I'm getting in there. And then, I got picked, and then Drake and Richard O'Kelly obviously were my academy coaches there, and obviously they brought us for the youth team. So then, that's how that kind of started. So I never got picked up by Coventry, funny enough. And I'm a Coventry boy, and obviously they had a Coventry academy there, and I just never got picked up. So it was a bit. Then I went West Brom, and then obviously that started my career.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like you mentioned, moving through the ranks at West Brom, and then come the end of your time at West Brom, it was actually Craig Shakespeare that you're playing under. Of course, at the time, it was Gary Megson in charge of the first team. And he decided at the time that there was enough centre-backs in the team. And, of course, it was Craig's job to deliver you that news, that you weren't going to sign on for extra contracts. What was that like at the time?
It was difficult because I played reserves from the age of 14, 15. So before Gary come in, the group of us that were each of the football club. He kind of wanted to go down a more experienced route, which was fair enough. And I think at that time, at that period in football, there wasn't a young breaking through. So, it was really difficult because obviously Craig Shakespeare put me forward to get a contract, and so did the reserve manager. But they didn't need a centre half, so I got released. So it was kind of so difficult because I'd moved away from home. I'd lived in digs with the players, and that was going to be the future, and you see your name in lights and that stuff. And then all of a sudden, one day, it's over. So, it was really, really difficult and tough, to be honest. And I was fortunate enough that I had the mum that I've got, because I was so down and kind of lost. And she just picked me up and she was like, look, let's start writing letters, get yourself out there. You've got to keep going. You've got to keep pushing. And it was lucky that one of the directors at West Brom, a guy called Clive Stapleton, he owned a club in Denmark. And I was speaking to some of the directors, and they liked me. They'd seen me play, and they said, like, come trial. So ended up going out on trial for there for 2 weeks, and ended up living there for 2 years. So yeah, it was a bit different.
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to just talk about Craig Shakespeare as well for a second. Of course, he's gone on to really great things in his career, managing Leicester for a period of time as well. What was he like, just as a person and as a manager?
Yeah, it was his first job in there. I actually saw him. Must have been about 3 or 4 years ago now at St George's Park. We had a good old chat, and it was his first job. I mean, he had a group of 30 lads, and he was a great guy. I mean, he used to join in training sometimes, and he was quality as well. So, but no, he was fair with everyone. You could see his style of play. I mean, you look at Leicester. I mean, that was him back then. So, but no, I think he was fair with everyone. He said when we had a chat, and he said he'd wished he'd give us a bit more kind of coaching in a sense when he'd first come in, but it was his first job, and he'd come in at a Premier League team, and there was like these 30 kids. So, but no, he was always great. He was always fair, and when he did, obviously when the time was that he let us go, he was straightforward. He was honest, and I think that's all you can ask for, really, is someone just to give you an honest critique of yourself and where you want to go from there. So, but no, he was a great guy.
And then, of course, like you mentioned a second ago, you went on trial in Denmark and moved abroad. What was that like, making such a drastic move at such a young age as well?
It was the biggest culture shock I've probably ever had in my life. So, yeah, it was odd. I went to a team called Hereford, and it was literally in the countryside. So they put me in a house with this couple, and you have to walk to training, and it was like a half an hour walk to training, and it was like in the middle of nowhere. So it was just weird. And we trained at night times. So, yeah, it was odd, to be honest. And the style of football is so much slower out there. So just to get used to that alone was really difficult. And the weirdest thing was we got out there, and I remember we used to finish training, and all the lads would sit in the clubhouse after training, and they'd be drinking and smoking. Well, obviously, I've come from like a professional environment, so like when I was there, I was like, "What is going on here?" Wow. And they're in the Danish Super League, so it was just weird. But to be honest, I loved it. It made me grow up.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, obviously that the surroundings sounds like that really sort of like helped your development at a young age. But you mentioned like the football was a lot slower as well. Would you say that helped your progression as a footballer?
Yeah, I think especially coming from the kind of youth team and the reserves and stuff, we were 100 miles an hour. So and then out in Denmark, it was not necessarily about physicality, but it was more about technical ability. So it helped me learn so many things, like defensively. One of my first training sessions, the goalie, his name was Morten Kramer. And I remember someone shot, and I've jumped to spurt to block the shot, and he went absolutely crazy at me. He's like, "What are you doing? Why are you spinning? You're walking it, you can go anywhere." So, and he just taught me how to use my body and spread my body well, just to block shots, and just little things like that really helped me progress. And it was something different, because I think when you're a young lad, kind of coming through, it's all about contract, and the coaching kind of goes out the window a little bit. And I went out there, and it was a lot more technical. And Alan Nielsen, I don't even remember him, he's a centre midfielder for Tottenham.
Yeah.
He took over in my year there. I mean, he was amazing. Some of the things he coached us, and just playing in front of crowds. I mean, some of the crowds we played in front of, 30, 40,000 fans, was just something that I've never seen before. So, yeah, I mean, it made me develop as a person more than anything, just because I was living out on my own, I had to cook on my own. I was going to language school. I was learning a new language, just everything. It was just...
That's what I mean. It doesn't only make you as a footballer, does it? It develops you as a person and a way of life and a way of living.
Yeah. When you're a young lad in England, especially coming through the academy system, everything's done for you. Cooking's done for you. Your kit's washed for you. You don't have to do anything. Literally, all you have to do is play football. And then, so I was from that, then going abroad to put in a flat on my own, have to look after my own finances, make sure I've got to pay for this, pay for bills, do all my own cooking, washing it. I know it sounds, normal people do that on a daily basis. That's just normal. But I think for a footballer, when you're not that, it's such a big culture shock. But no, it made me grow up so much.
Yeah, I mean, what then prompted you move back to England then? Because obviously Bournemouth were your next kind of destination. Of course, they're back in England. Yeah, what prompted you move back home?
For me, the pinnacle of football was England. So I always wanted to come back. So I was going out there to develop, and then the idea was to come back. And to be honest, I wish I took in more in Denmark what I was doing, because, you know, we were playing against Copenhagen, FC Midtjylland, and we were playing against big teams, and some of them in Aalborg and places like that, they've been in the Champions League. They've been in the Champions League qualifiers. So I wish I took it in a little bit more, but I just wanted to come back to England to play. That was for me, that was my main goal. And it was lucky that my coach in my first couple of years, Joe Kelly, was assistant manager at Bournemouth.
Right.
So at the end of my time in Denmark, I just decided to pack my bags and come home. And I was hopefully going to get a trial somewhere. Wow. So again, my mum rang up Richard O'Kelly and said, he's coming back, you need to trial. And Richard, yeah, bring him in. So I went in the pre-season, and then lucky enough, Eddie Howe was actually kind of like a player coach there at the time. And he was a big influence in me getting a contract as well. And then obviously I took off my career from there.
I mean, yeah, you signed for Bournemouth in 2005 under Sean O'Driscoll.
Yeah.
What was Sean like to work under?
I would say meticulous. His attention to detail was something I've never seen in my life.
Really?
Just everything. Yeah, it was. You'd go training, and timekeeping was like, for him, was vital. I mean, I know you'd turn up on the training pitch and you'd be there like a minute early, and he'd be looking at you, and he had this like death stare. And he'd look at you like, "What are you doing? Why are you not here 5 minutes early? You're running out." And he was like that. But he used to do these. I remember we had a training session once, and we were doing set pieces, and obviously I was centre half, so I was back on the halfway line. Back then, I don't know why, because I should have been in the box scoring. But so anyway, I'm on the halfway line, and I was just chatting, obviously not paying attention as a kid, which I should have. So he's like, blues whistle, Josh. I was like, yeah. He's like, go and take the corners. I was like, what? He's like, go and take the corners. So you go over, and I was like, all right then. He's like, right. So we had like 4 or 5 signals. He's like, right, signal 1. I was like, he's like, exactly. Stop messing around and concentrate. But every single player had to know every set piece. Throw in, so that it'd come out and it'd go, there are 22 cones, there's a throw in over there, now put where everyone is on the pitch, this throw in. And you'd have to know all that. I mean, his attention to detail was crazy. You'd have a big dossier of the team on a Saturday, would go through all that, would go through match analysis, everything. And you'd go out on a Saturday knowing everything. You were so confident going out on a Saturday because you knew what your man was doing. You knew which way he turned, you knew what foot he was, you knew how he'd shoot, you knew what the midfielder was going to do. He was, like, for me, it was perfect, and he was just his detail was amazing, and it made me grow as a player. And like going into managing, that detail is something that I would take into management.
Yeah, you spoke about Eddie Howe there, just a minute ago. Obviously, a player coach, done very well at Bournemouth in the Premier League. Could you always see that Eddie was gonna go on and do as well as he has done?
He was very grounded. He was very sensible. I think he always looked at the game and he read the game different to probably 95% of the squad there. So you could just see he had that about him. I think at the time, I think it was his knees. He had a problem with his knees or his ankle. So you could see that he was struggling and he was going to go into that. So you could see him, you know, I think he lent on Sean quite a lot and you know, in sessions and what Sean did and how he broke down the game. And you could see he was always going to go that way at some point.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously started the season with Bournemouth and you were in the side. Yeah. I think it was October time that you played Brentford away. You actually ended up winning the game 2-0. But for yourself, kind of the first real sight of a bad injury, and the injury unfortunately ruled you out for the rest of the campaign. That must have been really hard to take.
It was weird. I've looked back on it now, and I think it changed my confidence as a professional footballer. So I'd come to Bournemouth, and obviously I'd gone on trial and got a contract, and I'd managed to work myself in the team, and I was doing well. And then, you know, obviously my agents got involved at that point, and that game there was a few clubs looking at me in it, and it was looking like I was going to go to the Championship or the Premier League. And I remember we trained on the Thursday, and I started getting ill.
Yep.
And I ended up getting tonsillitis. So I remember on the Friday, I rang up and said, "Oh, I'm not great. I can't play." And Sean was like, "Well, you're in the team. We need you to play." And as a kid, as you do, you kind of just go in and play. And I literally remember it. We had the kick-off. We went to the striker, back to centre midfielder, back to me, and I opened out and played the ball down the line. No one near me. 18 seconds into the game, and my knee popped. And I remember it. I remember it being in the air, and I remember it coming out, and I remember it just wobbling back in like that.
Oh.
And, yeah, I know it was horrendous. And they, yeah, I know it was crucial. Obviously, I did my ACL, and I
We
remember
won't put that one in the freebie, Josh.
I know, and I remember getting put on a stretcher, and I remember all the Brentford fans thinking you'll never play again. So I was like, oh, decent.
Wow.
So we went back into the changing room, and I got on the physio bed, and the doctor's come in, and he's looked at my knee, and he's done the tests and everything, and it seemed fine, and there was no pain. So he said, "Come off the bed, jump on the spot." So jumping on the spot, I said, "Jog on the spot, jog on the spot, jump from side to side, jump from side to side." And then in my head, I thought, "I'm not injured. What have I done? Like, I've come off, and there's nothing wrong with me." So, so I've got back in the changing room, and I remember sitting in the dressing room, and my leg up in the air, and I remember my knee just go wham, like that. It just went massive, and I remember I had my phone, and I rang my mum, and I was just crying. I'm sounding like a bit of a mummy's boy right now, aren't I? I remember I was just crying down the phone saying, "Oh, my knee's gone." So the physio come in after the game, and he said, "Look, we'll go for a scan, and then two scenarios. It'll be best case scenario, worst case scenario." I was like, "Okay." So he told me then, and then we went for a scan on the Monday, I think it was, and then I got the results the same day. And I remember sitting in my bedroom in Camford in Bournemouth. And he rang me and he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, mate, but it's the worst case scenario." He said, "You've cruciated your ACL." He said, "It's complete tear, complete rupture. You're going to be out for 10 months. And that was just, yeah, that was obviously back then as well. ACL weren't as common as they are now. So for me, it was just like, I'm not going to play again for a year. Like, it just, my whole world just kind of crumbled like massively. I just didn't know what to do with myself. Didn't know, where I was. I'm quite a focused individual. So not having that, going out and training every day and having that game on a Saturday, it just broke me, to be honest. It did. It broke me for a while, a good few months. I just wasn't in the same place. But it was lucky that I had Richard O'Kelly. So he gave me this book. And I remember, and it was just like a little notepad. And he said, "I want you every day to write 3 positive things every day. Wow. Just 3 positive things. I'll look at it and, just anything you can, whatever it is, anything." And that changed my life. And in a lot of ways, and whenever I feel bad or down now, and I'm starting feeling a bit, having a bit of a, I'll get a book out and I'll sit down and I'll write positive things that I've done or I've got around me, just to kind of boost my confidence and make me feel, your mental health just maybe a bit better. And that was a real help for me.
Would you say, like, as well, Richard O'Kelly you mentioned there was really supportive?
Yeah.
Would you say that was like a common theme from all of those at Bournemouth, like that sort of support network that footballers like need in times when they're injured? Would you say you received that?
Yeah, I think especially with Rich. Rich is the most positive man I've ever met in life. He's just the most positive guy. He's amazing. His energy, his enthusiasm for life. It's just I've never met anyone like him. And Bournemouth, when I was there, they were all like a family. They've been together for many years. Like Neil Young, Etch, obviously Eddie and Jason Tyndall, that was assistant manager now. And if you look at the backroom staff at Bournemouth now, they're all there. So I think Stephen Purchase is the under-23s, Eddie, and obviously James Tyndall's the management team, and then obviously Etch is head of recruitment. So they're all still there. So we had that bond at Bournemouth. It was such an amazing football club. It's an amazing place to live, and you always had that support, which was, especially as a young lad, is what you need.
I mean, yeah, it obviously being Premier League now, and like you say, it's got that real kind of family feel, family football club, opening and welcoming. If you look back at your time at Bournemouth, is there any kind of stories that stand out for you that you think, oh yeah, definitely if I look back at my time at Bournemouth, that was a real laugh, or that individual was a real character?
I've got one from Gills, but the ones from Bournemouth I probably couldn't say on a podcast. Yeah, because they were a bit. Yeah, there was. To be fair, there was. I remember we trained once, and we were training, right, and we had this lad. I'm not going to mention his name, right, but we had this lad. He's a bit of a donor, and training, and we're thinking, where is he? And obviously it was with Sean, so like being late is just a no-no. Like you just can't be late with this guy, right? So we're training. So we're training, and we're thinking, where is he? Like he's not rang. No one knows where he is. Anyway, he rocks up halfway through the session. Like, mate, what are you doing? He was like, yeah, well, I'm doing something, which I'm not going to say what it is. I just needed to finish. So I'm late. Sorry. He's all like, oh my God. Yeah, he got fined, put it that way.
I'm sure he did. We obviously speak about the good times at Bournemouth.
Yeah.
During the time it was kind of coming to an end for you, like your last season, off the field matters. It went a little bit sour, and as much as obviously yourself and the team were trying to fight it, obviously off the field was a big issue. A 10-point deduction was hit, and ultimately the team were pushed into the relegation zone and relegated. Had they not been hit with a 10-point deduction, you would have finished 15th because you went on an amazing run.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
How was that for players to kind of, because obviously players don't like to speak about the off-the-field matters, but surely in that situation that you're going out there week on week, you're in such good form, you know for a fact that whatever you're doing, these off-the-field matters are just going to pay complete like dividends to what is going to happen for you for the rest of the season. How was that to take as a playing squad and a management, and what did your manager do to try and keep your spirits up?
Well, I was actually a PFA rep when this happened, and I was working with the PFA and the club and the administrators through it all. So we weren't getting paid. So obviously the club had no money, and for a long period of time the club couldn't pay the lads. So at that time the PFA stepped in and kind of loaned, I suppose, lads a portion of their salary just to get them, to keep ticking over. I mean, I had to borrow money from people because I had a mortgage, and we weren't we just didn't have enough money. So that was, for us, that was a real concern. And there were talks about, people said to us and representatives said to us, you can hand in your notice because you're not getting paid and leave. And not one member of the squad wanted to do that. So because we all, we were in it together as a club, as a family, and we wanted to kind of get out of the situation we were in. It was a very difficult situation because you can't play for free. So like you say, everyone had mortgages, family, and bills to pay. So that was really difficult. But we thought we were going to do it. We really did. We worked hard. We got results. The start of the season, obviously Sean left, and we were flying. We were doing really, really well, and then we just went on a really, really bad run, and then. Obviously the illustration happened, and then we just, it just turned kind of bad, I suppose. But the manager was funny. he was one of he was a Cockney guy. So I remember he used to do team talk sometimes. When he was angry, he'd be like taking his clothes off. He was just getting more angry. And by the end of it,
who was this in charge? Who was this?
It was Kevin Bond.
Oh yeah.
By the end of it, he'd be stark naked, ranting and raving. And by the end of it, because he was getting angry, and he's just taking his clothes off as he goes along. And by the end, he's like, oh, for God's sake, like, he's just there, like, stark naked. And then I'm like, is this guy for real? But no,
my God.
It was, no, honestly, it was probably one of the saddest days of my career when we got relegated. I remember that's one of the days that we all kind of sat together and embraced each other when it was away at Carlisle, and we were really upset because we really believed we were going to do it. And then obviously that last game was just probably too far for us. But to be honest, it was probably the best thing that happened to the football club. us going down. I think because obviously we went down and obviously you know what's happened. You know, obviously, I think Brad has took over for a little bit, and then obviously Eddie's come in, and the club's just gone from strength to strength. So I think they needed to reset, and I think that's what I gave them.
And then, of course, at the end of that season, you moved to Carlisle. Just tell us about that move and how it came about.
It was a weird one because I wasn't sure whether or not. I did a thing online with Bournemouth fans not long ago, and I hadn't decided whether I was going to leave or not. But there were some things that season that happened regarding transfers and things like that with myself that kind of left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. So I decided that I needed to move on, and you know, I think I said in an article in the press that I wanted to move closer to home, and then ended up going to sign up for Carlisle. But yeah,
Can't get any further north.
It was a really weird one because I signed for Carlisle, and then like literally a week later, Millwall rang me and they were like, "Oh, we want to sign you," and I was like, "Oh, what?"
Oh no.
So, yeah, but no, I went up. John Ward took me to Carlisle, and I've had a loads of respect for John Ward. But I remember I was on holiday, and you know I was waiting for calls, and nothing come. And then it happened later on down the line towards the end of the holidays, and I went up there and I looked around the place, and you know, and I got on well with John. But something in my gut told me not to sign. But when you talk about agents in football, they do have a kind of, and don't get me wrong, I'm my own man, but at that age, you know, you can be pushed to do things sometimes. And, you know, I had a chat with my agent, and he was like, "You've got to do it, you've got to go." You know, I think they just lost in the playoffs to go in the championship that year. So
yeah, they did, yeah.
Yeah, and I just thought, oh, I've got to do it. And I signed, and I walked out, and somebody in my gut told me not to do it. And obviously it was right, because I'd gone there and I played about 4 games there, and it just wasn't a right fit for me. And I wish I'd never been there. Carlisle's a great place, and I've had some great, one of my best friends is one of the players was one of the ex-players from Carlisle. So it's given me a lot of things, but I think from a professional point of view and football point of view, I probably should have waited and gone somewhere else.
I mean, of course, you ended up spending most of the season on loan at Hereford United. Was that more of a case of, was it more of the push factor of you weren't enjoying it at Carlisle, or was there something that really drew you to Hereford out of probably a host of clubs that might have been after you?
Yeah, I mean, I was not happy at Carlisle. I was a bit disillusioned, to be honest. And again, the West John Truick was the assistant manager at Hereford. So I'd had a few offers from a few different clubs, but I knew John, and at that time I needed to be with someone that I knew, you know, that I could trust and that I know I would enjoy playing for. So for me, it was a perfect fit, and I've gone in there and I just enjoyed my football again, and it just gave me that kind of buzz and that excitement to play again. And obviously from then, I moved to Gills. Yeah,
you did. You obviously signed for my team, Gills, in 2009. Mark Stimpson, of course, was the manager in charge in the summer. What drew you? How did the move come about, and what drew you to Gillingham?
Well, Mark rang me actually. He rang me. I was actually on a training camp. I'd gone back to Carlisle for the pre-season, and I was on a training camp. He just rang me. He just said, obviously, we'd love to get you down, and I had a good old chat with him, really, and he just seemed like a really decent guy. So it was just a no-brainer for me. Obviously, they're in League One, same league at Carlisle, and then it's a big football club, and you know, it's got a proud history, and I just thought I've got to jump at it. So I spoke to the manager at Carlisle. I'd actually had a really good pre-season, so the manager wanted me to stay at Carlisle, and I just said, look, I'm not happy here, and you know, I want to go. And then obviously I ended up going on loan there for a period, and then signed permanent. Yeah,
obviously Gills picked you up in that summer. They've just been promoted, obviously. Good squad. Simeon Jackson, Andy Barcham, obviously Simon King. Unfortunately, then he got himself injured. Unfortunately, Barry Fuller, who obviously doing very well at Gills now. And then obviously the opening day come, and we went and obviously whacked Swindon 5-0. You must have thought, You must have thought, wow, this is the dream move. What did you make of the squad and the ambitions of the club going into that season?
If you look at that squad, I mean, the players there, you say Barry Fuller, Kingy, Mark McCammon, Curtis Weston, obviously Simeon. I mean, we had what a squad it was. Barchi, I mean, we had an unbelievable squad, and we had so much flair. It was frightening, the goals we got, but the only problem was we couldn't win an away game, which was just it was the most bizarre season I've ever. Like at home, we were unbelievable, and then away from home, we just couldn't replicate our home form. It was such a strange season.
What did you put that down to? About obviously the away form. We were very, very, very good at home, and we obviously we beat Southampton, we beat Leeds, we took a point off Norwich. We were unbelievable at home and blow teams away, and then it would come to an away game. Do you think it was the fact of it was almost the squad didn't have the crowd behind them, or was it after it was 3, 4, and 5? It was kind of that mental block of we can't get ourselves out of this.
Yeah, I definitely that mental side of it had a lot to do with it. I also think sometimes we kind of like we're so attacking, and we kind of went good and ho at home, didn't we? We just went up, and I think sometimes we probably did that a bit too much away from home.
Yeah,
and I just think some of the games could we have just kind of been a bit more. Because I think you should go and win everything, but could we have been a bit shut up shop a little bit more, been a bit more organised and a bit more solid, and then hit people on the break maybe. So, but I think, like you say, when you get to like 3, 4, 5, 6 games away from home, and you ain't got to win, then it becomes that mental side of things, and you go a goal down, and you're like, oh, we're not coming back here. Yeah. And I think that that snowballed up with our season that season.
You think you were going to tell us a story, Josh, from your time at Gillingham? Come on in, mate. I want to hear it.
I'm not going to say who the manager was, and I'm not going to say who the players were. So I remember we played at home. It was one actually rare we lost at home, and I think it was like 2-1 or 1-0. I can't remember what the score was anyway. And I remember off the pitch after, and I got man of the match. And I remember gutted we'd lost. But I remember the last 20 minutes of the game, I was running around everywhere, trying to get up front, trying to score, trying to get back in the games. Walking back to the changing room thinking, we're going to get it, but I'm not going to get it because I've kind of done all right. So anyway, I'm last in the dressing room, and the man going at it with the players, and I've sat down and I thought, he's not going to say anything to me. So I walked in, sat down, and then the manager's gone, oh, here he is. I thought, oh no. Here he is. Been man of the match? What a joke. That sums up our fans, that does. You, man of the match. And I was like, what? I was like, so I said to him, what do you mean, man of the match? Do you not think I've run around, worked hard, done well? Nah, joke, absolute joke. So I was like, just go for real. So anyway, he turned around to another guy and he's gone, and you, absolute disgrace. And no lie, the guy has turned around and he's gone, oh, here we go. And he's gone, what? The manager's gone, what? And he's gone, oh, you're boring me. And all the lads have gone,
oh my God.
And all the lads are just you could hear the lads just go, oh, and it just went deathly silence. And he went, you what? He's gone, yeah, you heard me, you're boring me. And we were like, oh, you can't say that. You can't say that. So then I've jumped in and gone, oh, crap. I don't think he meant it like that. I think he misinterpreted what he meant. And he's gone, turn around to me, he's gone, shut up. So I've gone, oh, all right, I'll just sit down, I'll be quiet. And he's gone, oh, and then the manager's gone, boring you, am I? He's gone, yeah, you come in every week, and all you do is pick on the same players all the time, every week. You're boring. So the manager's just stood there well, where do I go from here? So he turned around to the lad next to me, and he goes, and you waste the money we've had at this football club. And the lad's gone, you what? And he's gone, yeah, biggest earner at the club. How many goals you got this year? Couple of goals. Rubbish. So the lad's gone, what are you talking about my money for? And he's gone, I'll talk about what I want. And he's gone, no, you can't. You can't talk about my money. And the manager's gone, what are you going to do about it?
God.
And the lad's gone, what am I going to do about it? All then, me and you now outside.
Oh,
so
no.
The manager, right? And this guy was massive, right? So he took his shirt off. He's got, come in, let's go outside now. So he's walked out, and the goalie coach has opened the door for him, left the door open. So the lad's standing out of the tunnel. And the manager's just gone to go out, right? So one of the lads went up to him and gone, no, go back, no, go back. He's like, I love him. And the lad's like, I know you love him, I know you love him. The lad's about this big. He's like, I love him. So the gaffer's pretending to like get out. Obviously, he ain't going to. And we're all sitting there like, what is going on here? And the check gone off, right? So anyway, it's all calmed down. We've gone back in and everyone's gone home. The lad's rang me and he's gone, never guess what? I've like gone, gaffer's rang me and apologised. And we're like, oh my God. That was the most weirdest end of game team talk I've ever seen. It's bizarre.
That is wow. That is unbelievable. I'm glad. Obviously, I'm glad you didn't mention any names because we don't want to be getting into that. Let's talk about. Let's move on from not winning away. We spoke about it before we come on air, and we spoke about that Southampton game. Very weird. I remember being in the Rainham end that day. You went and scored to made it 2-1, scored a header. Jumped into the Rainham end. I think still remembers it, still reminisces it. Jumped into the Rainham end, pitch invade. Everyone thought Gillingham was staying up. And then obviously the results come through after the final whistle. And like typical Gillingham fans had not worked out the results right. And realised that we needed actually a result at Wickham. That whole week from the start of the Southampton game to that Wickham game, the end of the Wickham game at 5 p.m. must have been the weirdest week of emotions of your lifetime. Yeah.
It was, to be fair, leading up to the Southampton game, because I'm big on, I do like visualisation and meditation and all that stuff. So I'd actually visualised me scoring in the Southampton game for like the week prior. I've just been visualising. So when it happened, it felt like I knew it was going to happen. I know it sounds a bit weird, but it's kind of what I like. So obviously we scored it, and in my mind, that's it was safe. Yeah. And then obviously you come back in the changing room, you're like, oh my God. Like, and then obviously with your record away from not winning away all season, you're just like, so it was a nervy week, because obviously Wickham were already down, and sometimes they're harder to play against because they were free. They were already down. They knew they were down already, and they could just go and express themselves.
And their front three was an absolute joke as well.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So, we'd gone into the game. I remember Simeon missed
sitter right in the first 5 minutes. Yeah, put it over the bar. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that just makes you nervous because you're like, oh no.
Because you put your house, your mortgage, like your keys, your car on him scoring.
Yeah, but it was a bit of a weird one because when we announced the team, it was very attacking, and I was just like, let's just get a point. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. I was thinking is we need a point. Let's just get a point. And yeah, the game just didn't turn out obviously the way we wanted it, and it was just devastating at the end of the season. And you look at the squad and you look around the dressing room, you think of the players we had, and you just think, how has that happened? Yeah. And that's just football. Just in the blink of an eye, it just changes. And to be so, like you say, so dominant and commanding at home, and then you've got to go to Wickham, we're already relegated. You would put your house on it.
Yeah,
they're all relegated. You need a point to go and keep you safe, and it just didn't happen. And it was just deflating, like just unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, whatever way you want to look at it, Mark Simpson lost his job. Andy Hessenthaler come in. Of course, had a proud history with the football club, done very, very well in the Championship as player manager. Yeah. How was it under Hess?
He was passionate guy. He's got that little husky voice in it, so he growled a lot. So, but he wanted to play at a tempo. He wanted that full commitment, and I think that was one of the big things that he asked for, was that that commitment. So it was a different style of play. It was a different type of manager than what I'd had before. He was a lot more aggressive. So it was, for me, for my learning experience, it was good to have someone different, in that way to look at things from a different perspective. So obviously, I ended up leaving at the end of the season, but, I enjoyed, my whole time at Gills, to be honest.
Yeah, obviously, that year was also a weird year because we just missed out on the playoffs.
Yeah.
But we had two of the best league strikers in Cody McDonald and obviously Bayo. Cody, it was the first time that we'd come across Cody. In terms of he was on loan from Norwich, but boy, what a year! What a year that those two had. What were them two like to play with?
I remember the time I played up against Bayo he was at Northampton, and I think I was at Bournemouth actually, and I remember the ball's gone into him, and I've come in behind him just to get tight to him, and I've hit his back, and I've winded myself, and I was like, I was like, this guy is strong. So I remember that, and then when he signed for Gills, I was buzzing because I knew what he was.
Yeah.
And he was just in training. You know what? The thing with Bayo, which he doesn't get credit for, is his feet. His manipulation of the ball and his footwork is excellent. But because he's such a big guy, people don't see that. And I still play now. I mean, he's at Wycombe now and he's scoring goals, and he's so good with his feet. But he just brought people into play, and I think he worked so well with Cody because Cody could just feed off him. Bayo would suck in centre half, and Cody could just get off him. And Cody was just a natural goal scorer, just natural. And he was just a lovely lad. But I think that partnership was, probably one of the best partnerships I'd seen for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, when you made your move actually permanent at Gillingham, it was only, I believe, was it 2 days after you signed a loan extension at the club? Like, what was it that made you think in your mind, like, I actually want to make the switch here permanent straight away after you'd already signed that extension?
I'd come in, and it was just the lads, the group we had. I think the group, the banner in the dressing room, there was a real togetherness about the group, and it was just, it was a really well organised football club. It was a big football club. The crowd were great. You're getting 8,000-10,000 at home every week and things like that. It was just such a big club for me, and I don't know, it just felt right. I just felt like I was at home. I had good friends there. I'd fitted in well, and it just. Yeah, and that's why I'd obviously done the loan, and I spoke to the manager, and he said to me he wanted to sign me permanent, and I was like, yeah, let's get it done.
I mean, why Lincoln? Why Lincoln?
Well, I'd gone there on loan, and Steve Tilson was the ex Southend manager, and I just, he spoke about the plans of the football club and what they were looking to do, and I had some league offers and stuff, but I just felt it was right. I just everything about it, everything about the club, him, especially him. I'm a big on signing, and where I've gone is, as I've got older, is for the managers, and I built in, and I bought in completely to what he believed in, and that's why I signed there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Lincoln have obviously done very well under the Cowley brothers. What did you ever kind of see them when you was at Lincoln? Because you was there quite a while. Did you ever kind of see them where they were going? Like, in terms of, is that one of the reasons why, potential wise, that you saw that? Because at the time they were in the conference, right? Were they in the conference when you decided? Yeah. So,
no, well, I want to learn in League Two and then in the conference.
Yeah. So, did you ever kind of then see that potential that they could go back to the Football League and ultimately, obviously, now they're in League One. So,
yeah, I mean, if you look at the crowds they get and the gates they get, they're a big football club, and they just. That's my missus just popped a minute. They're a big football club, so they had the infrastructure to go on. They just needed a cash injection, which they've had now, and now they're obviously where they are. So you look at that, and you look at, it was really weird because when I was at Lincoln, Grimsby as big as Lincoln. Yeah. And it was really weird, and then it changed when I went over to Grimsby. Obviously, Lincoln were then not as big as Grimsby, but I mean, it always had the potential to be massive. The fan base was always there, and the infrastructure was there. So it was only a matter of time before they then obviously through the ranks.
Now, when we were doing our research, Josh, it said that you signed a 2-year contract with Lincoln. But in 2011, but by August 2012, it was mutually terminated. Do you want to kind of just tell us what happened at Lincoln? Why? Yeah, because obviously, that's only a year as such, isn't it? A year at bat. Yeah, a year is and into a 2-year contract. Do you want to explain the best as you can what happened?
I just think it was just those things. Obviously, I'd signed with Steve Tilson.
Yeah.
As you know, I was his marquee signing, and I was captain of the football club. And then obviously a new manager comes in, and they've got their own ideas and the things they want to implement. And it was just that, really. I mean, there wasn't anything kind of toward, I suppose. We just obviously two different people, and he decided he wanted to have his signings in, and I went the other way.
Yeah, I mean, you did. You went and signed for Kidderminster.
Yeah.
I mean, the success you had at Kidderminster was this is probably, I'd go certainly looking at your career, bar the Grimsby one. This is a great success story for you at Kidderminster. Obviously, you went in. You went and got, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you ended up actually in the conference team of the year. Your first season there. You struck up a great partnership with the now Wigan Athletics, Shay Dunkley. Tell us a little bit about your time at Kidderminster. It was obviously a great 3-year spell there for you.
Yeah, I mean, manager Steve Burr, so he's my assistant now. So I brought him back with me. So it was. If you look at our squad was frightening. So we had obviously Shay Dunkley, and we had who else? Mickey Dimitri's at Newport. We had Jamil Matt. We had Marvin Johnson.
Wow.
We had Joe Lolly. We had Michael Gash, who's now I think he's at Kings Lynn. So we had the squad we had was a very, very squad. And we went, I think at one point we were the informed team in Europe. I think we went on like 23 wins on the bounce or something crazy. So it was really weird because I'd gone there after, I think the first 5 games of the season, they'd lost all 5 games. So bottom of the table, and then I come in and then we drew 5 on the bounce. And
all
then
you, wasn't it, Josh? All you.
It was all me. I keep telling everyone it was all me. But it was like, speaking to about that year, he always knew, because obviously he was under a bit of pressure because the first 10 games we hadn't won. So he always knew that we were going to come good. It was just a matter of time. And I remember my first training session, I'd come in, and obviously I'd come from Lincoln, which is, at the time was a lot bigger club than Kidderminster, and I thought I was going to walk in there and I was going to be like obviously better than a lot of the other players. And I remember the first training session and I thought, wow, I've got to get up to speed. The tempo, the train, everything about them, it was professional. The quality in the dressing room was just unbelievable. And again, the success team is down to the team spirit. The team spirit was second. And I mean, I speak to a good amount. I mean, I still speak to Dunks, I speak to Marv sometimes, Jamil, I speak to Joe Lolly sometimes, and we all still speak. And that's a testament to that dressing room and the type of football we played. I mean, Steve would literally leave me and Dunks on the halfway line, 2v2 at the back, and everyone else would just go and attack. So it was a very attacking football. But it was, I mean, it's weird because if you turn the first 10 games, we got 5 draws and 5 losses, and you turn one of them to wins, you get promoted. Because we lost out, but I think it was 1 point or 2 points at the end of it. So it was crazy.
I mean, you speak about those characters there, the likes of Shay Dunkley, Joe Lolly, Jamil Matt. Obviously, gone on to have very, very, very good careers. Obviously, Joe and Shay are playing at the championship level. Did you know then that they were going to go on and play at that sort of level they are playing now?
Yeah, especially Dunks and Joe, definitely. Joe was a funny one. So when Joe first came in, I can't remember what club he come from. He come from like a real non-league club. And I remember he used to come in and he'd have his breakfast and he'd be like a Kit Kat or like have like pot noodle for lunch. And I'd be like, Joe, you're living like a student. Like you can't do this anymore. Like, and I used to be on him all the time. I was like, look, you need to start eating better. You need to start eating right because it's just not. You just can't do it. Like, come on. And then he's honestly just come in, his head up and then he'd just be like dopey and just going around eating his chocolate. And something clicked with him. But he was honestly, he'd cut in on the right and you knew he'd chop in. And he was just so sharp. I've never known a player as sharp as Joe. And you just knew he was going to go on to bigger and better things. And Donks just had the enthusiasm. He had the stature, he had the pace. He wanted to learn the game. He'd always ask questions, and he knew he was going to go on to another level. And I'm so glad to see both of them have gone on a lot. Obviously, Donks has been a bit unfortunate. He's obviously had that leg break recently, but Joe will play in the Premier League. 100%.
Wow.
I believe Joe will play in the Premier League one day.
That's a big shout. So when we put this out there, and then we tag Joe in it.
Yeah.
Big statement from you, innit? Hey?
No pressure, Joe.
Jacob, you obviously delighted to hear that about Shay. Jacob's an Ulster fan, so yeah. I mean, talk about the season. Then that first season, Josh. You say you had you won one more game, you would have got Kidderminster promoted. You obviously hit the playoffs. Unfortunately, it come down to Wrexham, and you ended up losing out to Wrexham. What was it like playing in the playoffs? Because obviously players speak about the pressure of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Is it? Do you feel it as players as pressure?
Yeah,
playing in the
definitely.
playoffs?
I think that season was a weird season. So I think, to be honest, I think we got into those playoffs. We put everything in to get promoted. I mean, we got 90-something points. And we'd literally put everything into it. And I just think when we were deflated going into the playoffs, to be honest, I think we lost it on the last day. I think we beat Stockport 6-0 or something. And I remember Mansfield played, I think it might have been Rex the Kids. So Mansfield won 1-0 or 2-1, whatever it was. And we were just deflated, to be honest. I think we'd put so much into that season. And we just couldn't go that little extra bit. And I think that, it was disappointing into the season because of the season we had. We won, literally. I think I'd lost that season. Take the playoffs out of it. I think I'd lost one game all season.
Which shocks you, doesn't it? Because a lot of the time, a lot of teams hit the playoffs in very, very good form, and then they will just go, and no one can stop them. But obviously, like you say, it was completely different for yourself because you'd put so much into it, expected promotion. When you didn't get it, it hit you like a ton of bricks.
We were better off finishing third or fourth, knowing we were going to get a playoff place and preparing for that. But I think because we'd just been on it, trying to win. We're going to win the league, and then the last game of the season, you lose out like that. It was gutting. It was absolutely gutting. So then we'd gone into obviously we still had the confidence to think we were going to win, but I just think it was maybe a step too far for us. But that was probably the one season from the season at Grimsby that I just didn't think we were ever going to lose a game of football. No matter who we played, we just walk on the pitch and we just knew we were going to win.
Obviously, fast forward, Josh. Fast forward a little bit to the 2014-15 season. You took the captain's armband, but you also took a player coach role. For Kidderminster. What was your thought process behind that then? Taking that kind of role, because obviously a different role.
Yeah, it was managing, coaching, all that kind of stuff was something I want to go into. And I've been kind of gearing up for it for a while with doing my studies and all that stuff. So when the manager pulled me and said, "Would you be interested?" I jumped at the chance. I have analysis, tactics, taking training, and all that kind of thing. I relished the opportunity, and to be fair, I loved it, and hope my training sessions weren't bad. But it was a great season. It was a lot because obviously I was playing, I was captain, and then I was coaching as well. So it was a lot of orders, but I relished that, and I did really enjoy it.
I mean, in 2015, you then left Kidderminster, and you joined Grimsby on loan initially. How did the move come about, and why Grimsby?
So the assistant manager at the time was a mutual friend. I knew a mutual friend, so he'd give me. I think they'd done a deal at Kidderminster that I didn't know.
Okay.
So, because I thought I was sorting out a new contract with Kidderminster. So, and then, yeah, a lot went into it anyway, but I didn't, it was done beyond my back, basically. And then I ended up going in the end. And then, so yeah, that's how it came about, really. I knew the assistant manager there, and he's a good friend, still a good friend now. And yeah, so, I went in there.
I mean, you scored in your debut, didn't you?
Not
For,
bad, was it?
for Grimsby. Yeah, I mean, in May of that year, you then signed permanently for the football club.
Yeah.
Am I correct in saying that obviously before we jumped on here and started recording, you said a little bit about Bristol Rovers, was it?
Yeah, they'd contacted me. The choice between the two clubs. I had a suspension, so they wanted me to go before I think Grimsby come in. So like I was going to go to Bristol, but I had a suspension. I had a 2-game ban, and the third game back was Kidderminster, so it would have meant I would have missed 3 games. So
Right.
really, Bristol, it was only like 10 games after the season or whatever it was, so I would have missed a good portion of the season. So we spoke and we just said, yeah, that's not going to happen. So obviously that fell by the wayside. Then obviously Grimsby got involved, and then obviously I went to Grimsby.
Yeah, I mean, you like making impressions on football clubs, don't you, Josh? Because you then went and earned a place again in the team of the year in 2015-16 season. But you went one better this time. You played at the home of football against Forest Green, and you went and beat them 3-1. I mean, talk about that season, because we've got quite a lot of Grimsby followers that have followed us recently, and I'm sure they'd love to hear about that season, because that obviously propelled them into the Football League. Tell us about that whole season. Tell us about any stories. Tell us about the lead up to the playoffs and the playoff final.
So I think we were looking off that. I came in on loan the year before, and then obviously we went into that year, and we were looking off that. We pretty much retained the majority of our squad. So we had that togetherness already, and what Paul Hurst created was an environment where we all were friends. We'd all go out and socialise. We're in a WhatsApp group to this day, and we all still in a WhatsApp group. So
Wow.
and we all wanted to play for him. I think that was the biggest thing I would say, is we all wanted to play for him. Everyone would run for a brick wall for Paul Hurst. He was a great guy. You could speak to him. He was accommodating to everyone. Doigy was more angry. Everyone used to get on a Doigy and just wind him up. But we just had a great togetherness, and training was really competitive. You wanted to win in training. There would be tackles flying in, goals going in. It was amazing. It was just an amazing season, and we'd go into games, and because we had that togetherness, we'd push each other through. And if someone wasn't pulling their weight, then we'd make sure they were. And if someone was having a bad game, we'd chip in and help them out. But what I remember is pre-season, I remember we went to a local team. I can't remember what the local team was. I remember having a phone call with my friend after, and I said, we'll get promoted this year because the squad we had. I mean, the squad was just, obviously we had Podge, who just scores goals for fun. Obviously Omar. To be fair, Omar was a weird one, Omar Bogle, because he didn't play a lot that season. But then when it comes to the back end of the season, the important start of the season, he just took off. And he was frightening. And obviously we had Nave.
Game player.
We just had a wealth of talent in the team. Toto Entialo, who then went on, and I think he was at Ipswich, but he was at Learner at Bolton.
Yeah.
And we just had such a togetherness. The playoffs were the most nerve-wracking thing, the final ever. The pressure. It was weird because we got to the playoffs. That was a bit of a different thing with Kidderminster, because we knew we weren't going to win the league.
Yeah.
And I think about 4 or 5 games before the end of the season, we thought, right, we need to concentrate on the playoffs. So we kind of let the league slip away. Think we're going to go playoffs and do that. So I remember we played Braintree at home the first leg, and I'll give a penalty away. And I was like, oh my God, like, what have I done here? the pressure that season from the fans, because they'd wanted to be in the Football League so much, over the years, and this year, and the pressure you felt going into every game was like no other football club. The supporters. My debut when we played Alton away. The fans we took, but our away support was crazy at Grimsby. They're just another level. The fans are, and they live and breathe for football. So we'd gone in that first leg entry at home, and we lost 1-0. And I remember there's banners everywhere for Hursty out. And they wanted some of the fans wanted the manager sacked. So it was like, oh, and we played Braintree twice that year, and we'd not scored a goal. Wow. So obviously you go into the second leg at Braintree thinking, hit them 3 times, we've not beaten and we've not scored. And you're thinking, oh my God, like we've got it all to do here. So I remember that game, it was boiling hot, it was roasting. But we had the following at the back of the goal was unbelievable. And then I'd give a penalty away. So that was on my mind, like I've got to get back into it. And I remember we had a corner and it come in and the guy was holding my shirt and I was going, ref. He's holding my shirt. And for some reason, the guy just, I don't know what's wrong with it, I've like made a movement and he just had my shirt and I've gone down and he's given a penalty. So I was like, oh, brilliant. So Pod scored. So like, well, we're back in it. So, and then we've gone up, carried on in, and then we've a corner. And I remember I've told Omar to come and stand next to me. So Omar's standing next to me and I've gone to move and I've stood, and you watch the video, I've stood on his marker's toe by accident. And his markers fell over, and then Omar's gone through, headed it, and scored. So I was like, oh, extra time, brilliant. So gone to extra time, obviously we won the game, and it was just, honestly, all the fans on the pitch, and that was our playoff final. Wow. Because of the amount of pressure we had, we hadn't beat them all season, we hadn't scored a goal. That was our playoff final for us. It was. We knew we were going to win the final after we'd won that game. And we got back in the dressing room after the game, and the gaffer was in there. He's quite calm, Hursty was. He goes off now and again, but he's calm. And we've gone in there, and he's walked in, and we're all sitting like that. And he's got up the ceiling, and those strobe lights?
Yeah.
He's pulled the strobe light down, and he's stomped, bang, come on, like that. And then the whole room was just erupted. And everyone was just bouncing around the dressing room. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. But it's funny enough, the 2 managers are the Cowley brothers. And I'd gone into their dressing room after the game and just like said, congratulated them, because what they did at Braintree was unbelievable.
It was,
for a club like that, to get to the playoff semi-finals was just frightening. And, I congratulated them and I wish them all the best, because what they've done was just unbelievable. But yeah, and then obviously we got to the playoff final, and we were in a hotel in London, and we were nervous. Like we got up there day before, and it was good. We decided to go to Wembley 2 days before the final, and I think that helped because we'd gone, looked around, walked around the dressing room and all that stuff, which was great. And I think that got that out of the way. But and then the day of the game, the women's the change room that we trained in was the FA Cup. The FA Cup winners won in our dressing room. So we're like, like buzzing. So we've got on the coach and we're going to the game. I can honestly say it was silence, like deathly silence on the coach, and we were just so nervous. And then this video played, and for me, this is obviously we thought we were going to win the final anyway, but for me, this is what changed everything for us. And they played a video with like I don't know who the media guy was, but we played this video and it was just like all the best bits from the season. So like with really like music, like amazing music, and it was just all our best bits and us all coming together, scoring goals and different things throughout the season. And that just calmed us down. And it was like electric, and we were bouncing, and then we got there and then we were just ready. And I remember we scored early and then we scored again, and me and Toto were looking at each other and we just welled up on the pitch while we were playing, and we were like proper welled up, like emotional on the pitch, and we're thinking, flipping out, there's like 60 odd minutes to play here, and we think we've done it. So
wow.
After 2-0 up, and we're thinking, we've got this. And then obviously we come out second half and they scored, and then that was squeaky bum time. That was like, oh wow, like we're in trouble here. And obviously then Nate's gone through at the end. And Nathan Arnold had been through that season, lost his mum, and he'd been through a lot of struggles that season, and to see Nath go through at the end and score that goal, it couldn't have happened to a better person, and he needed that. I think Nath needed that more than anyone else in the squad. Nath needed that, and when he put that in, the relief, more than anything, it was the relief that we'd done it for the fans, because we'd had that pressure and we knew how much it meant for them. Like it was just like
there's a great picture of you as Nathan puts the ball in the back of net to make it 3-1. There's a great image of you that BT then turned to, of you basically in the dugout with the coaching staff. Was it a kind of a sense that, like, we're a family and we've done this together?
Yeah, 100%. We were just, I know the famous ear cupping incident that fans will never forget, because obviously they wanted him to. Hursty made a comment a while ago that our fans were spoiled, and I think that never kind of quite left with some of the fans, so they had a bit of a gripe with it. And obviously we lost in the semi-finals. The first, obviously, some of the fans would say they wanted him out. So obviously we'd won, and he like cupped his ears at the end. So I don't think the fans are best pleased with that. But it was just, we knew the pressure, and we felt the pressure from all the fans, and we knew how much it meant to obviously ourselves, but to them, like the community, like our Grimsby community, they wanted it so bad. And you know, you still get people messaging now saying that that's the best day of their lives. And I didn't enjoy the day. I didn't enjoy the game at all. I can honestly say that. Like, I did not enjoy the game. But the relief on that final whistle, when that final whistle went, was something I never felt before. And I was just fortunate that, like, my mum's been through loads of things with me through my career, like from when I was little, taking me to games and all that stuff. And that was, I could have retired that day, me. Like, for my mum seeing me lift that trophy and get promoted at Wembley in front of all those fans was just, for me, that there's nothing better. And honestly, it was amazing.
Wow. I mean, the following season, Josh, you played, I think you only played 21 games the following season.
Yeah.
And then you were then unfortunately let go.
Yeah.
From having so much success the previous year to then only playing 21 games the following year, was that hard to take?
You know, the coach come in at the time, and he tried to rip the soul out of. Obviously, Hursty left and went to obviously another club, and then a new coach come in, and he tried. He kind of, it felt as if he come in and he'd seen myself, Craig Disley, Maka the keeper, and it felt like we were obviously kind of immortalised in a sense. And it felt like he'd come in and he'd looked at us and thought, I want to make my stamp on the team, so you lot are gone. Wow. That's kind of like what it felt like. And to be honest, it wasn't enjoyable. I mean, training was mundane. It was long. I mean, we'd do 3-hour analysis sessions. We'd go in and we'd sit in an analysis booth for 3 hours. And then we'd go out and we'd do 11v11 for another 2 hours.
Information overload.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So we'd gone from Hursty, which training was fast-paced, competitive, and then we'd gone completely opposite. I mean, footballers' attention spans, to be honest, are not that long. So doing a 3-hour analysis session and then going out and training for however long on 11v11, it just wasn't great. But I'm a really positive person, and I kind of changed it a little bit. And you know, I know there was a lot of young lads at the club, and I tried to help them and give them advice moving in their careers. And I spent more time in the gym, and it meant I had more time with loved ones and stuff like that. So there was a positive part of it. Obviously, I wasn't playing, which was really frustrating and annoying. But you know, how long do you be upset about something? You know, you have to try and change your kind of mental approach to things. And I did that, and I spent more time in the gym. And I was healthy. I was probably the strongest I've ever been in my career. And, you know, I met my partner during that period, and I was at home spending more time with my family. So, you know, that was great. But yeah, I mean, it was sad to end that way. But to be honest, I kind of blocked that period out in my mind, because, you know, having the success we had, that nothing's gonna kind of put a dampener on that.
Yeah, I mean, and then in May 2017, obviously your time at Grimsby came to a close, and you made the move to Torquay. Yeah. What was it about Torquay that really attracted you at the time?
So Kevin Nicholson was there, and he'd come in at Kidderminster when I was there for a while, and obviously Kev took over at Torquay, and obviously there was a project there, and I knew, I get on really well with Kev, and there was a strength and conditioning coach there called Simon Jeffries,
Right.
And he goes out to America sometimes, works with the NFL and stuff like that, and he was just like, for strength and conditioning stuff, it was amazing. And obviously in my mind, when I'm thinking about management and the way Kev's really big on man management, and I wanted to go there and obviously work with him and obviously grow the team with him. But also there was things there that I really thought I could learn. So that was kind of like the idea of going there. Obviously I left. Obviously my missus lives in Grimsby, so I left my missus and moved to Torquay. So it was a very difficult decision, but football is football, and I love it. So I'll move where I've got to move.
Yeah, I mean, and then that season, unfortunately, you ended up in the relegation zone in 22nd place. Just sort of tell us about your recollection of that year and what things were like in the dressing room as well.
That was hard because obviously Nico was a close friend of mine, and he got sacked quite early, and it was hard. It was hard to see him set. It was hard to see him leave because I don't think the fans I know the fans know Nico loves the club, but I don't think they understand how much his heart is with that football club, and he wasn't treated great there, to be honest. And it was sad to see him go. And then obviously we had another guy that took over and had a completely different philosophy, different ideas, and it just didn't work. And we ended up obviously getting relegated, as we did, and then obviously he ended up leaving. So, but yeah, it turned sour quickly there with Nico leaving, I think, because it was difficult for me because I left for him. I left all my loved ones. I left everything behind because, I mean, Torquay's pretty far. So I'd left all my loved ones for him. That was my sole reason to go into that football club was for him. So obviously when he left, it was like, wow, kind of what have I done? But it is what it is, and that's football, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, since you've moved to Hereford as well, and you've recently become interim manager after the departure of Russell Slade. What was that move into management like for yourself? Obviously, your first main role at a club.
Yeah, well, obviously, I'd had the coaching side of things for a bit at Kidderminster, and I was obviously captain at Hereford for the years I've been there, and it was. I've been ready for it for a while. I've been studying my degree in psychology. I did that part-time while I was playing, and then I'm nearly a qualified counsellor, and I've done governance qualifications to understand how a boardroom works. So I've been giving up to it for quite a while. So to be honest, when Matt Richards left, I approached the club and said I wanted it then, and it wasn't the right time, and they wanted a bit of a bigger name. So obviously Russell came in, and then Russell left, and then again I jumped in and I said, look, I want the job. I know I can turn things around. Obviously, I think at the time we were like 22 games and 1 win or something. So I was just ready. I'd spent time analysing the squad and looking at areas that we can improve on and stuff. So it's the right time. And lucky enough for me, Steve was available. I rang Steve to lean on some of his experience, and I managed to get him in. And I think we've gone from strength to strength, to be fair. And we obviously kept the club up. And obviously then the coronavirus hit, and then obviously everything's kind of gone kaput.
I mean, would you say you've learnt anything in particular that you might have surprised you during your time at Hereford as manager?
I think I'm a bit of a kind of, I'm very proactive, and I'm a bit of a doer. So like I looked at the squad and I was like, right, we need to do this, this, and this, and I need to change all these things overnight. And I think it's kind of relaxed me and calmed me down a little bit to kind of focus more and just focus on, some of the key things that are going to make us successful, rather than trying to change everything. It was kind of really hone in on, okay, block all of the noise out and just think about what it is that's going to make us win and what it is that's going to make better. And I think, to be honest, my psychology and my counselling backgrounds kind of really helped me with the players and man management, and just, I think, I was lucky enough to have Richard and O'Kelly to lean on for that some emotional support. And I've not had that a lot in my career. And as a manager, that's what I want more than anything. And I think that's why I did, my degree. And obviously I'm on the track to be a qualified counsellor, because I think it's really important nowadays, with social media and all that kind of thing, and the pressure of things, for footballers to have support.
Yeah.
And, you know, I say to all the players, regardless of whether they're playing on the day or not, come and speak to me if there's an issue. You know, I found that the football culture needs to change. I think if a lad comes to a, you know, especially back then, if a lad comes to a manager and said to the gaffer, I'm struggling, I feel a bit down, I feel a bit depressed, I think that was seen as mental weakness. And the manager probably wouldn't rely on that player. When for me personally, I think that's mental toughness. To be able to have the foresight to look at yourself and be like, well, actually, there's something wrong. I think that's quite a straight. And I think then you just need someone to help you, to help guide you with that. One of the big things that the reason why I did my degree is I didn't understand how bad till now my injury affected me during my career.
Right.
It affected my confidence in a way that I didn't realise. And, you know, looking back on it, you know, I can look back on it now and say it did, but I was invincible. When I was at Bournemouth and those early years through there, I was invincible. I felt no one could touch me. I was as quick as everyone else, as strong as everyone else. I was never going to get injured. And then all of a sudden I had injury and I was out for a year. And that kind of idea in my mind went. And I remember my first reserve game back, we played Southampton. And I don't know if Theo Walcott played, but I know Nathan Dyer played. And I was quick back then. And I remember Nathan Dyer kicked the ball past me and ran, and he left me for dead. And I lost a yard of pace. And it just honestly, I just struggled with it. I really struggled with it. My confidence, it knocked me because I was so quick that I didn't have to get in position early enough because I could just sprint and get there. And I was on a par with all the quickest players. All of a sudden, I didn't have that anymore. And that invisibility cloak just, and it really did kind of hamper me. So my counter side of things, I want to be a qualified counsellor because I want to try and set up something where, you know, these footballers have a place where they can come, especially with injuries and especially with pros coming towards the end of their careers, because you've had this identity for so long as a professional footballer, and then all of a sudden when that's gone, then who are you? What do you do? So I want to be there for people to be able to lean on and speak about, go through experiences that I have and be trained enough and skilled enough to be able to get them on the right path. And I think that's really important. I think that's missing in football.
Would you say as well, like the outlook of being really sort of in touch with your players and having that good level of man management, would you say that really sort of sets apart like the real top managers out there?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you look at the Jurgen Klopp, I'm a Liverpool fan. So you just look at the way he is with his players and you can just see he hugs them, he's smiling, he's bright, they come up around, you can just see that's infectious, and you can see the players love him because he actually cares. Footballers are a commodity, understand that, and we're sold, and you know that is, you know, the nature of the beast. But we're still human beings at the end of the day. And you know, if you're dropped on a Saturday, I think fans sometimes there's this misconception that, you know, if you're playing bad, you're meant to do it, or you know that you'll see a player go through a really bad patch, and they'll turn some fans, not all fans obviously, but some fans will turn around and go, "Oh, he doesn't care." Well, from my experience, when I've had a bad game on a Saturday and there's not a game on a Tuesday till the following Saturday, it's ruined me. It ruined me from Saturday to Saturday. I was bad mood. You know, if the goal was my fault, I'll be replaying it in my mind over and over and over again. And, you know, people don't understand. You make a mistake in front of 10,000 people, 10,000 people have saw that. Mm. If you make a mistake at work, 2 people have saw it. I've seen it. Obviously it's a mistake, but it's not on that grander scale. So, you know, it can really impact people. You know, it's just getting out there and making people understand that footballers are human and they do have, you know, emotions, and you go through ups and downs. And, you know, I think people really do have to, I mean, the racist thing, you know, the racism, you know, with Raheem Sterling and stuff like that, and some of the abuse that football is subject to, it has an impact. You can have as thick as you want. When someone says something like that, of course it will have an impact. It does. So it's just, but, you know, hopefully, I think football is changing, definitely. And I think we are going a bit more of the man management side of things. And there is a lot more, you know, we have welfare officers at football clubs now, and counsellors are getting involved now. And, you know, we have different organisations that are getting involved in football side of things. But I definitely think we're still a long way off where we need to be.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned as well, during your playing days, you were picking up your degrees as well. Would you say that that's a real important thing for footballers to focus on, is what life will be like after they've retired playing as well? Like, we're looking forward.
I was watching the TV today, actually, and Craig Bellamy was talking, and he was talking about habits, and he's picked up a lot of habits. I remember he just said to me, because I obviously was studying, and I started up a car leasing business, which I'm not going to plug on here.
Plug it if you want, Josh. Plug it if you want.
Sure, car leasing. They said to me, I remember the manager said to me, he said, "Why are you doing anything else? Your sole focus should be on football." And throughout my career as a young lad, that's all you've ever been told. So it's very difficult to get out of that mold. And then you get to 35 or however old you are, and then all of a sudden you've been that way of thinking, and then that life entity is then gone. And then what do you do? You've not studied, you've not looked at your career after football. You know, realistically, players from League One down are going to have to work once they've finished playing football. So when you're going for a job interview or you're applying job applications, what experience can you put down on a job application when all you've done is kicked a ball all your life? It's very difficult. So I just, for myself, I looked at it and I thought, I need to pack my CV. I obviously need to be doing all these things that are going to help me go into management and all these things. But at the same time, I need to be realistic that going into managing, you've got to be very fortunate. And lucky enough for me at Hereford, I've been fortunate to fall into something, but you also have to have a backup. So I've done my degree, I've done my counselling, I've worked at, you know, an SEN school to get some experience. I've done my governance qualifications. I've done my scouting, so I'm a qualified scout. So I've tried to do as many things as I can to kind of, when I go into, you know, a different environment, I've got those skills. And don't get me wrong, footballers have got amazing transferable skills. You know, if you've been a captain, you've team leadership skills and, you know, and sales skills. Footballers are great salesmen, but because we work in an entertainment business. But, you know, it's worrying that there's not more done for footballers. I mean, like young footballers, you know, you look at the Premier League players and, you know, you've got a young lad on 40 grand a week. Why are the football clubs not demanding, okay, you're on 40 grand a week, but 10 grand a week is going into a fund until you reach a certain age, so you've got pot money? Or why are they not going through skill coaching and things? And why are they not pushed to do degrees and all this stuff? They're not. And it's because footballers are commodities. And, you know, our club's looking at a player long term, are they? Or are they looking for results? If you're not getting results, then you're out the window. And it's difficult because obviously football is a results business. And as a manager, I need to get results. Or if I don't get results, I get sacked. But at the same time, I'm also a human being. And, you know, I want the best for people and I want people to thrive. And, you know, even if they're not good enough, and I don't think they're good enough at our level and I want to move them on with as many skills as I can for them to flourish somewhere else.
Wow. I mean, yeah, Josh, you make some brilliant points there. And I completely agree with you, is that, and this was kind of the concept that we went with when we started Inside the Change Room, is to give footballers a platform to speak on, and to, like you say, almost at times footballers are treated more like robots than they are actual human beings. But they are fantastic points that you bring up, certainly. Josh, just to finish off, like I gave you a message before we started recording, to say this is going to be hard for you, to pick your favourite six-a-side team with the six best players that you've played with. Obviously, we've obviously spoke about it during the podcast. You've played with players that have gone on and done brilliant things and still playing now. If you could have your favourite six-a-side team, come on, who would you go with?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this and I've been going backwards and forwards. So the goalie for first would be Dean Henderson.
Okay.
I said to he come in after a couple of weeks. I said to one of my friends, I think he was about 18, 19 when he came to Grimsby, and I said he'll play for England one day. He is the best young keeper I've ever seen. He's unbelievable. And his confidence matches that as well, to be fair. He's got Zlatan confidence, let's say that.
Confident, not cocky.
No. Do you know what he's with him? He's cocky, but he's funny with it, so he's fine. So he's cool. So probably him, and then centre halves will probably be Dunks, Shea Dunkley, and then the other one will probably be Jason Pearce.
Yeah,
he's at Charlton now.
Yeah, he is.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Pearce is no nonsense. Strong, decent on the ball, captain material. He wants the best all the time, and Dunks is the same. Dunks has progressed so much, through the years, and he took obviously into the league, and then he's just got better and better as he's gone on. And it was unfortunate that he had his injury when he had, because I think he'll go on to bigger and better things as well. And then in midfield, I'll probably go one lad you probably never heard of. His name's Steve Cook.
Okay.
So he made his debut for Aston Villa when he was 17
Steve
against Man
Cook
United.
that plays for Bournemouth. Yeah.
He is by far the most talented footballer I've ever seen.
Wow, that is a shout.
Yeah, we went to Aston Villa, and I remember one of the coaches said to me, how's Cookie doing? And I said, oh, yeah, he's all right. He had bad ankle, so he's injured. And he said, Cookie's the biggest talent we've ever had in the football club. And that was at Aston Villa. He would just, honestly, the things he could do with a football was frightening. He was unbelievable. But he just had really big ankles, and it didn't quite happen for him because of those injuries. So he ended up retiring early. So, and then the other one would probably be Anna. So it was a toss-up between Adam Lallana and Darren Anderton, but I went for legs. So I was going to go with Darren, because Darren was, obviously, I don't need to tell you about his career, but some of the passes that guy used to pick out, he'd be facing you and you'll be facing up the pitch, and he'd give him the ball and he'd hit a diag to a player that you didn't even see, and you were facing the player and he wasn't, and you just be like, how is he in that? Like, it was unbelievable.
Wow.
Adam, obviously he was young when I was in, but you could see he's.
Yeah, where was you with Adam at?
He coming at Bournemouth.
Oh, okay.
So his passion for football was, he just knew everything about it. He loved it. He ate, slept, and breathed football. He just loved football, and that's why he is where he is. Yeah. His work rate, his determination to get better all the time. I mean, from where he was when I played with him to where he is now, I mean, would he have got to Liverpool? Probably not, but that's the testament to his attitude and his work rate. He's just unbelievable. I remember his sister as well. His sister had nothing about football. Him and his sister together, they were like little statos, and they knew everything. So, but yeah, he's brilliant. I mean, yeah, he's got to be in there. And then striker, it's a difficult one, because I played with so many, and I was just thinking of the sixth side who would I put in, and one of them would be, and he should have got higher than what he did, was probably Fabian Brandy. You remember?
Yeah, I remember Fabian. Yeah. He come on loan from Man United at Gills. Yeah.
Yeah, because I played for a bit as well, and he was. I mean, he's only a little lad, and his centre of gravity was unbelievable. And some of the year he came in at Gills was frightening, wasn't he? I mean, how many he scored? It was unbelievable. But he was just, I don't know. He was immense. I mean, he should have stayed at Man U. I turned down a contract at Manchester United, and I think that really cost him dearly. I think if he'd have stayed there and progressed a bit more and learned a bit more, I think he would have gone on and done a lot more things. It was a toss-up between him and James Hayter, to be fair. Because James Hayter
shout though as well. James Hayter, what a career he's had. Yeah. What a career he had.
The best leap in football and the hang time he used to get on his back stick, up in the air, head out, bang, goal. His work rate, he had a comfort as well. His finishing was unbelievable. So it was a toss-up between them two, but I went for a bit of sharpness because Fabs is a bit jinky on a six-side pitch. I think Fabs would have done in there. So yeah, definitely Fabs.
No, yeah, Josh, you've been absolutely brilliant. What a career Josh has had. promotion.
You retired me now. Is that what we're saying?
Sorry?
Have you retired me now?
No, yeah, I've finished you now, mate. I finished you off. No, I mean, to be honest, mate. To be honest, considering like going back from obviously West Brom days to obviously your Bournemouth, and then your kind of your mental health then played a part. We had obviously Matt Fry on here that he said about injuries played a massive part in his mental health, but then to simply recover and still have the career that you went on and had in terms of promotions and then being captains and playing in teams of the seasons and things like that, playing at the home of football, like a lot of footballers get big injuries, and you see a lot of footballers get big injuries and never recover from them. In terms of they drop into non-league and they drop and just go, and just you don't see their career again. And so obviously it's testament to you to obviously staying in the game, keeping at it, being in like we say, being in a couple of teams of the season, so winning promotions. Obviously you're doing very, 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 very well in your management. Remains to be seen what obviously happens after COVID. Hopefully carry on. You've got your degree, so you've obviously set that out. But Josh, you've been an absolute fantastic guest, and thank you ever so much for coming on.
No, thanks for having me on, guys.
Keep watching Inside the Changing Room. We've got plenty of guests coming on this week. Keep liking, subscribing, keep watching our channel. You've been watching Inside the Changing Room.